Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be ranking some titles that I mentioned at the end of my previous collection update video just a few minutes ago. And uh, just to refresh your memory, the titles we'll be talking about in this ranking are Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis, Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, The Inflicted, Samuel Bleak, Blind Witness, Direwolf, the Cry, The Nurse, The Familiar, Killer Killer, Meadowwoods, Howling 4, The Original Nightmare, Summer School, Occupied, and Killjoy. So, prior to getting this this particular collection here, I had already owned and viewed Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis and Killjoy 1, so I didn't rewatch them when I watched the rest of this collection, but both I had seen recently enough to be able to share thoughts or to have relatively fresh thoughts on them. So, um, uh, in last place for this video, or in 15th place for this video, I think I'm going to put The Cry, just because it's a much less entertaining version of Curse of La Llorona, which I think handled that particular storyline very well in the Conjuring universe. And then in 14th place is also going to be the one that I watched the most recently. That is Occupied, because I don't really understand like what I watched. The cast was very small. For most of the movie, it just had two characters in it, but a few other characters either had voice or physical appearances. But this plot of the movie mostly seemed to have centered around a 20-year-old cousin and her 8-year-old cousin, who were, or she was babysitting her 8-year-old cousin, and then she started having a lot of like mental issues that they didn't really explain what was going on with her, and so that it leaves you wondering like what the heck's going on here. Um, it's like she had a like she was having psychotic breaks or something, and they didn't really explain it at all, like what her condition was. She had some sort of meds that she was taking, and she kept hearing weird voices and hallucinating and becoming more and more paranoid of her younger cousin. Like she was like her cousin was talking about her behind her back, when I don't think that was the case. Not really. Um, but it really weird stuff. Uh, that like that's probably one that I'd have to watch 2 or 3 times to be able to make sense out of it. Or more than that even. Um, in 13th place is going to be The Inflicted, because I have no idea why that movie's called The Inflicted, because it's kind of a serial killer story, where um, the serial killer is also we'll put it this way, he's also very much a ladies' man, um, and so um, yeah, and in 12th place, um, I think I'll put Summer School. Very appropriate name for a horror movie, because Summer School sounds like a terrible and horrific idea. So, um, so that one, um, it, Summer School, the movie, is about this kid that, as you would expect, has summer school, and he keeps falling asleep in his summer school classes and having increasingly more and more brutal and violent nightmares. And every time he dies, at least it's scientifically correct, every time he dies, he wakes up, except for the last time. And the last time he wakes up, he gets hit by a car, and that's good. And then he was actually awake and became toast, like Gonzo. Um, but sorry for the spoilers, but there you go. Let's see. Um, in 11th place is Killer Killer. Killer Killer is a movie about a bunch of serial killers being locked up together, where um, they all are locked up in this like, are they kind of locked up in like a giant house that's locked, or like the house itself is locked, and the rooms are kind of like cells in a way, like jail cells in a way. But when their jail cell, or when their room, or when the doors to their cells are open, they have free reign of the facility because there's no way out, because all the windows are barred and whatnot, and the doors are all locked and sealed up tight. But um, they they each get visited by the last person that they killed, who ends up killing them somehow. It kind of gave me a mild Freddy Krueger vibes with the kills, because um, they'd be kind of in like a trance state where they aren't like fully awake or conscious when they get killed by the last person they end up killing. So kind of an interesting idea, but there are movies here that I liked a little bit more than that one. In 10th place, we're gonna put Killjoy 1. I specify Killjoy 1 because it's at least a trilogy of movies, and I think it works better as a complete trilogy than just a single entry. That's why it's only in 10th here. In 9th, we're going to put um, Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis. The reason I keep specifying with that is it being with Jamie Lee Curtis is because there's a newer Prom Night movie that that I have that's um, a remake of this one. I believe, to my knowledge, this is the original with Jamie Lee Curtis here. After her time in Halloween, because it says, "Do you love Scream Queens like Halloween's Jamie Lee Curtis?" Um, and it continues with more, but yeah. So it was after she was at least in the first two Halloween movies, I'm guessing, in the 80s. Um, and so yeah, that one, um, it's a pretty good version of of a prom night horror movie. I think I like um, um, both the remake and um, Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 better, which is why Prom Night 2 is going to be higher up in the ranking here than being in ninth, like the Jamie Lee Curtis Prom Night movie. But um, in eighth place, I'm going to put Dire Wolf. And that is a movie where some scientists and kind of a middle of nowhere laboratory decided, let's take some dire wolf DNA from an extinct werewolf type species and make it even more of a werewolf and a more effective killer by adding human DNA to it, and hope nothing goes wrong. A lot goes wrong. A lot of people end up getting killed by that before they end up killing the dire wolf itself. I won't say how they kill it or when, but they do end up killing the dire wolf. In eighth place is The Familiar. The lead actress in this is Laura Spencer is probably the most compelling part of the story because the dialogue in it is very low budget and seems like really that's the best you guys could come up with in some spots. But um, it looks like it came out in 2009, so it's a fairly recent horror movie, still over 10 years old, but still a good movie here. Um, and then let's see, that's eighth place, I believe. In seventh place is The Nurse. That one's about a live-in nurse that the family she's living with that she's treating the father of. She hates the father because the father of that family um, did nothing to help her own father and showed no sympathy at all when her dad killed her brother, her mom, and himself. He ended up killing himself right in front of her, which um, set her on a dark path of revenge against another doctor that was supposed to be helping her dad with his issues and was not. And when she confronted him, being like, "Hey, my dad's dead now," it didn't even faze him. It was just like, "So what? Who cares?" type. That was the vibe he was giving off. And so she had this long plan to make him suffer as much as her own father had. And so she ended up killing a bunch of people in his family after he contracted some weird disease where he was immobilized. So he ended up killing his second wife, his kids, his previous nurse that she replaced, and a few other people along the way. Um, but he managed to snap out of it, and his, I think, son-in-law ended up, or daughter-in-law or something like that, ended up killing the psycho nurse that was trying to kill off his entire family to make him suffer and then kill him. And then moving on in, let's see, I think that was seventh place. In sixth place, we have Howling 4, the original Nightmare. Um, there were some interesting visual effects that were unique for werewolf movies. Like apparently the first time someone turns into a werewolf, um, it causes all their skin and whatnot to burn off and or melt off, kind of like when those three Nazi characters looked into the Ark of the Covenant at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, how their faces melted off. Similar, but a little bit more realistic in this movie. Um, and the story was pretty good. The acting was decent enough. Um, at least it was better than the acting in The Familiar. Um, but yeah, in moving on in fifth place, I think is Meadow Woods. Um, and I think that one was another kind of like serial killer massacre type movie. Um, and in third place, we have Samuel Bleak, and that one it wasn't as much a horror movie per se as a lot of these other ones, but there Samuel Bleak, the title character, um, was um, kind of a mute. He didn't really talk very much until like the very end of the movie when he confessed his love for another character that he had been um, building a relationship with for most of the movie since they first met. Which that part was fun to watch because it's like this this guy that usually just sits on a typewriter and types out whatever he wants to say and uses as kind of a journal as well. Slowly starts to fall in love with um, another patient in a mental hospital that he's also in, that he checked himself into. And um, you find out that his dad, or that his mother died in childbirth with his little sister, and his dad freaked out about that. And so when his little sister was 2, um, he his dad, Mr. Bleak, pushed his daughter into a pool to drown her, and successfully did so. And so Samuel tried running away from that and was living in the woods, and for a while, um, just kind of isolated for like 15 years or something like that. And then he finds out that his mom did technically survive giving birth to his sister, but not for long afterwards, because you just find out um, that his dad burned the shed that his mom spent most of her time in while she was in there, so she got burned alive in the shed, which comes full circle because that's how his dad dies too. Um, but um, good, good, enjoyable story. I thought it was enjoyable, at least. Um, at its core, it's kind of a love story more than a horror movie. There were very many like scares or whatever in there. Our runner-up is going to be Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Um, it Prom Night 2 had a really good story where Mary Lou was someone that had died at her own prom, and her spirit was trapped in her high school or something and could possess other students and make them do horrific and violent things. But my favorite of the bunch is also the most mild of the bunch, and that is Blind Witness. Um, with Blind Witness, the lead character, played by Victoria Principal, who I believe also directed the movie, or was involved she was the co-executive producer. Um, she is blind in real life as well, and in the movie, her character is married, and these 2 guys that smell like formaldehyde because they work on tiles, um, or do tile work and use formaldehyde to do that. Break into her house, trying to rob the place, and her husband gets in the way of them, and um, he ends up getting killed by accident. I mean, they were being aggressive. They were going to try and shoot the both of them, but then at one point, her husband gets pushed and breaks or hits his neck hardly on or really hard on something that ends up killing him. And all the while, she's blind. She doesn't know if the guys are still there. She's freaking out. She locked herself in the bathroom trying to hide from them, and her hands were, I think, zip tied or duct taped or something like that. And so when she no longer hears anyone else in the house, she excuse me, she exits the bathroom and tries to find where her husband is by feeling around because she's blind. Um, and she finds his corpse laying there, uh, close to the entrance to the kitchen, I believe. And while she was trying to fight off a couple of the guys because they found her first, she managed to rip off the necklace of one of them. He had like a charm necklace or something on that had some sort of like, symbol or something on there. Um, and she had dropped it, and excuse me, goodness, the guy that she took it off of ends up coming back to try and find his necklace and confronts her again. Um, and so she tries telling a detective what happened and what she smelled, because she couldn't say what she saw because she's blind, as I keep mentioning. But she tells him anything she remembers about the guys, um, and how they smelled of death. And she didn't know it was formaldehyde that she was smelling until later in the story when she smelled it again and said, "That was the smell of the people that killed my husband." And someone she was talking to in the construction business was like, "Oh, that's formaldehyde, ma'am. We use that on when we do tile work." And so she's like, could you get me in contact with all your tile workers to try and figure out who killed her husband?" And she noticed that one of them also had kind of a bum leg because he was kind of like limping along and dragging a bum leg around. And so she was able to find the two, and that I think they came back to her house a third time, and when no one was there to try and find the necklace, in which case I think they found it on the third visit. Um, but anyway, she goes and she finds a new place to live and sets up a ton of different security measures. Um, and to try and make this long story shorter, um, she ends up finding the guys. Um, I think she tasers one of them to and he gets away. Or he leaves, but one of them was hanging on to the elevator shaft at her new apartment, um, so he wasn't in it when it went down. It was one of those old timey like pull a metal guardrail thing closed and then closed the elevator the same way type thing where it was uh lifted up. Excuse me, my goodness, I can't finish this video before I keep yawning. Yeah. But so even longer story shortened, she ends up with the help of the detective that she was collaborating with being a witness. Uh, the two of them managed to kill the guy with the bum leg issue. Um, and she and the detective guy live at the end. Um, good movie. Good movie. Okay, so at the end of the video here, I'm going to show, or not show, but say where my collection segment or numbers are at. The number of discs is lower than the number of titles because, like with this collection, there were 5 titles to a disc, and so some of them have multiple things on the same disc, so that makes it drastically lower. For the number of discs, I have 5,901 discs currently, with a runtime of 754,702 minutes, and the number of titles is 6,772. I believe when my last couple of packages come, it'll be 6,776 because I believe those are both Blu-ray DVD combo packs. But anyway, that is where my collection is currently at with the numbers, and I will catch you in the next video. I think I should get something to eat to wake myself up. Oh my goodness. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed this video, yawns and all. And if you're interested in any of those movies, definitely try and find them and check them out. Just I gave you kind of brief synopses for most of them, synopses. except for Blind Witness. I went quite in depth with that one a little bit. So yeah, catch you in the next video and keep talking movies.